Always honest, often blunt, and never afraid, this is The Narrative. We're breaking away from the script to reveal the driving forces behind the most important and divisive issues facing our culture today. My name is Aaron Baer, and I am the president of Center for Christian Virtue, CCV. We are one of the largest Christian public policy organizations in the country, and we're based in Columbus, Ohio. We say our mission is to seek the good of our neighbors by advocating for public policy that reflects the truth of the gospel. So why are we doing a podcast, and why is it called The Narrative? Well, it's because every day right now we're seeing topics pop up that so many folks, especially Christians, just don't know how to handle. The world is changing, the culture is changing daily, and new issues, new questions are arising. And honestly, I'm looking for answers. And so we decided we wanted to engage in a meaningful conversation that wasn't afraid to touch on the hot button issues, that wasn't afraid to ask the difficult questions, and was willing to offend folks on all sides if need be, in pursuit of really understanding what God's word says about this world and how now shall Christians live. And as we've been thinking about this podcast and praying over this thing over the last several years, there is nobody I'd rather be doing this with than my good friend and our policy director here at CCV, David Mahan. David, can you just share a little bit about who you are and why you felt like we need to do this narrative podcast too?
My background, as some of you may know, my background is in schools. I've been all over the country working in schools at the local level, partnering with state, local, federal government. Even here locally, Central Ohio, in 60 different schools. And that's inner city, urban, and suburban. And you can imagine over 20 some years, we are seeing firsthand, actually walking the halls of schools all over the country, the many of the issues, how they play out on the local level. The instructional materials that aren't supposed to be in the curriculum that just pop up out of nowhere. And CCV, they were the ones that I would call on the phone, fussing and, talking about what was going on. Hey, somebody's got to do something. Well, the pastors didn't know what was going on, and, the legislators didn't know, but Aaron was somebody I could always count on, and hung around for about 3 years. And then he just brought me on the team. And we've been talking about this for a while. And it's definitely the time and the season for it.
David, what, from your perspective, we were kicking around, what do we want to make our first one on? I we all sort of came to agreement pretty quickly here that race was the direction we should go. What do you think?
Yeah, it's not that race is new. There's nothing that we're seeing right now is new. It's that the narratives that are being put out there are so divisive. Many of us go to diverse churches, of all different kind of backgrounds and nationalities. And so many times we're listening to the news, whether it be Fox or CNN, and you don't raise money on kumbaya unity. You raise money on divisiveness, on getting people stirred up and angry. And we take those back to our churches, back to our jobs, and even our kitchen tables. And we spew that information that was meant to cause division and find out that it caused division. And so this is an opportunity for us to push past the narrative, to really deal with when we see things happen in the community, when we see things happen that really do deserve a response. What are the talking points? What are the points that we are supposed to be really addressing to find, not just to feel better about talking about it, but find solutions.
Yeah. And so the way the narrative is going to work is we're going to produce volumes, and they think of them like seasons, but it'll be 7 episode volumes. And what we're going to do is we're going to take one issue and dissect the narrative all around it. And we're going to bring on national leaders to help us look at these things from all sides and understand what's actually happening and how Christians should be thinking about it. And again, this isn't a podcast just for Christians to be listening to. We think this is a podcast for everyone because we see Christianity as the true lens to understand the world that we're living in. And so we're going to take these episodes, we're going to publish them every Friday, and we're going to really be, again, trying to focus on you and what it is you, the listener, are dealing with and thinking through how you should want to be responding. Again, this is something we get a question on daily at CCV. We hope you subscribe. Click that subscribe button on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever you do to access your podcast. And we hope that you join us. We'll be coming back every Friday with an episode. And if you want to find out more about CCV, you go to ccv.org. Special thanks to our friends at Westler Media for producing this podcast for us. But again, come back Friday for the first episode of The Narrative.